Home is seen as a safe haven away from all the worries implemented onto us from the world. In the midst of this safe haven, privacy is also maintained. That privacy can oftentimes include conversations, secrets, or memories that are hidden from the world to avoid judgment from others. In this avoidance of the judgment comes the mentioning of hiding skeletons in the closet. These skeletons sometimes make their presence known despite attempts at keeping them stowed away from others. That was the case for the Carmichael family in 1979 until 1999. The Carmichael family had a skeleton in their closet that soon gave away their family secret. Good evening, all, and thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Golden Hour Analysis True Crime Podcast. Tonight we will discuss the 1979 murder of Latanisha Carmichael in Brooklyn, New York, and the peculiar circumstances surrounding her case, as well as her family secret. Without further ado, let's get into it. New York City is home to its many residents that make up the 5 boroughs. Brooklyn, well known for notable people such as Aaliyah, Notorious B.I.G., Jay-Z, and a host more. With so many changes within the lifestyle of New York City in the late 70s and early 80s, crime has greatly increased. Hip-hop was born into the music world, and a crisis of the crack epidemic occurred. With so much culture and life within the captivating borough lies a dark secret that unfolded and still remains on the minds of the investigators who helped to unravel it. Though the Carmichael family stayed private and out of public eye interaction, they were soon put on the public forefront for the heinous act. Madeline Carmichael gave birth to twins, Andre Carmichael and Latanisha Carmichael, in February 1976 in Brooklyn, New York. The twins were in addition to Madeline's other 2 children, Gregory and Sabrina Carmichael. A single mother, Madeline had become a well-known name to social workers at the Administration of Children and Families, and eventually the Carmichael children were separated in 1988, with each one being placed in foster care. Though divided in the system, the siblings had soon made their way in connection back to each other, except one, Latanisha Carmichael. Andre Carmichael had been startled by a question that left his mind in a continuing ponder for answers. Andre also had a startling experience when he introduced his young daughter, Andrea, to his mother, Madeline Carmichael. To which he told her, "I know someone who looks like you, talks like you, and sits like you," followed by abruptly shunning the sight of Andrea and forbidding Andre from ever bringing her back around Madeline. However, it was a conversation with his aunt that led to further wonder and suspicion as to why that strange interaction had occurred. This also unlocked a faint memory of his that had become cloudy for years, but slowly began to clear away and reveal itself. Years prior, when Andre was about 13 years old, he was met with an alarming topic that led to a whirlwind of unanswered questions whenever he would raise it to his immediate household. Apparently one day, Andre's aunt had asked him about the whereabouts and well-being of his twin sister Latanisha Carmichael. Unfortunately, Andre was unable to have any recollection of memory of his apparent twin sister, in which he had passed along the question to his mother and older brother Gregory. Their only response was that he would know when he gets older, as well as his older brother Gregory, inflicting severe beatings onto him in hopes that he would never raise the question again. Andre eventually left the question alone, but still pondering on his mind was, who is his twin sister? What happened to her? Where could she be? And why is everyone so hesitant to speak on her or who she is? Despite the silencing of his thoughts, a spirit tucked away behind the door soon made its voice heard. As years passed, the same question had resurfaced upon Andre's mind. This time, he brought it to the attention of his older sister, Sabrina Carmichael. When it was first mentioned, Sabrina simply responded she would have to go to war and get their families out of the country if she ever told what happened. However, after threatening to go to the authorities about it, Sabrina finally broke down and confessed. She told Andre, "You don't want to know," and then proceeded to reveal that there is no use looking for your sister because she was murdered. Although making Andre sign an agreement not to report it to authorities, he still went against it in order to receive justice for his twin sister that he had no memory of, but he had once met long ago, and to bring her that voice that was also taken away from her at such a young age. On January 5th, 1999, a bedridden Madeline Carmichael and a reluctant Gregory Carmichael had led authorities to the body of Latanisha Carmichael. The same bedroom closet that the children were forbidden to have any interaction with had held a secret that was finally revealed after 20 years. In this very closet, 3-year-old Latanisha Carmichael had been stored away for 20 years since her death. It was revealed that on November 4th, 1979, Madeline had been force-feeding Latanisha Carmichael food, which caused her to vomit, and then later caused Madeline to get very upset. As a result of this, Gregory Carmichael had begun viciously beating her until she had become unconscious. In ineffective efforts to revive her, Latanisha had passed away. The two had then proceeded to wrap her in newspapers and 2 garbage bags, cover her with mothballs, and chain her in a Foot Locker-made casket, leaving it whisked away forever on that day in a bedroom closet that was covered with a bed and then a bookshelf. Due to being a witness of this crime, Gregory beat Sabrina, who was only 9 years old at the time, to prevent her from telling anyone what had happened. From then on, Latanisha was said to be in foster care, living in the South with relatives, or simply vanished from memory of existence. Even after years of keeping such a secret concealed, the secret had finally met its day where it became revealed. Madeline Carmichael and Gregory Carmichael were soon arrested and tried. Madeline was sentenced to 16 years in prison for second-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and hindering prosecution. Gregory Carmichael was sentenced to 2.5 to 7 years in prison for criminally negligent homicide, hindering prosecution, and tampering with evidence. Unfortunately, due to Madeline's ailing health, she had passed away in prison on August 9, 2002. Prosecutor Ahmad Woma commented, "Justice delayed has not been justice denied." Despite repercussions and dead ends when seeking the answer of his twin sister, Andre Carmichael never gave up and succeeded in his efforts with receiving justice for his twin sister, but also himself and his older sister, who were placed under scrutiny in order to keep their family skeleton concealed. In this present day, Sabrina Carmichael has made acceptance with this tragedy and published her very own book discussing this case, Family Skeleton, A Brother and Sister's Journey from Murder to Truth, in February 2008. Thank you all for tuning in on another episode tonight of the Golden Hour Analysis True Crime Podcast, as we covered the case of 3-year-old Latanisha Carmichael, who was brutally murdered on November 4, 1979 in Brooklyn, New York. This case also brings further awareness to child abuse and how we could prevent it and why we should prevent it. It is important to make note of any odd events, such as a child strangely disappearing without a trace or without concrete details, or the present abuse that that child may be enduring, especially on the actions of an older sibling. We must protect our children at all costs and fight for the system to protect those children who have lost that familiarity of what it feels like to be protected. If you or someone you know is currently experiencing abuse, whether it be an infant, toddler, child, adolescent, elderly, or even an adult, please do not hesitate to report it to your local authorities. You could be able to save their life, and you may also be able to save another person's life as well. If you are currently a victim, please do not feel like you have to be a victim forever. Speak up, tell someone, report it to an authority as well. If you or someone you know would like to see a loved one's case featured on here, please feel free to contact me at goldenhouranalysis@gmail.com. Again, goldenhouranalysis@gmail.com. I will be more than happy to advocate and spread awareness for the victim of that case, whether it be a missing person, a victim of a homicide case, or an unidentified person waiting to have their identity matched back to them. Thank you all for tuning in to tonight's episode. Like, subscribe, comment, share, stay aware, and most of all, be golden. Good night, and until next time, friends.